From the Dallas media room, hi, I'm Dan Kingerski on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now and the National Hockey Now YouTube page. The Penguins had it for a moment. They went away for about 45 minutes, and by the time they returned, it was over. The Dallas Stars probably putting the final dagger in the Penguins season. They beat the Pens 4-2 here at American Airlines Center. So we are in Dallas, and there is just a disconnect between expectation, belief, perhaps, and reality. Now, listen, I know the nattering nabobs of negativity are like, they are the little kid in a league of their own singing, "You're gonna lose." I get it on the fan base, but I think if you've covered this team, if you've been around Sidney Crosby, if you've been around so many of these guys for any length of time, you keep expecting the fighter to get off the mat and swing. You keep expecting them to stack wins. You keep expecting the heart of the lion to roar. You expect the lion to roar, not the heart, but you expect the heart of the lion, and you expect that lion to roar, and they didn't. They came out in the second period of Friday night. Flat wouldn't be the right word. Disheveled, disorganized. They defended like a beer league team. Confused. They didn't quite know who to cover, so they covered no one. Dallas did what many opponents have done to the Penguins, scored a couple of quick goals. A 1-1 game very quickly became a 3-1 game. The Penguins lifeless through the second period. I could be proven wrong on this, but not by much. If the Penguins had any sustained offensive zone pressure in the second period, it wasn't for an entire shift. It was for blips and moments, a chance here, a quick one-off there. But they never set up in the zone and pressured Dallas, forcing Dallas to defend in this entire second period. And the reality for the first 10 minutes of the third, where they went. I asked Lars Eller, what happened in that second period? And Lars is a mirror into the soul of the Penguins team. He just tells you like it is, and he's just sitting there kind of doing this. He's like, they just played better than we did. Simple as that. And that's all. There was no explanations tonight. I talked to Brian Rust. You can see the video here on the same YouTube page. And Brian was one-sentence answers. And, they are out of explanations. I think they're out of belief. I think we are in the fifth stage of grief, acceptance. The Penguins were there with Dallas. They score the first goal. They get the puck down low of Genny Malkin, flexes his Jaromir Jagr muscles, fends off defenders, throws out the hip and the leg. Nice backdoor pass to Michael Bunting, who does kind of a face first, just any way to get it in the net, get it in the net. He does. It's 1-0. The Penguins have to feel pretty good. But Dallas is one of the best, let's call it one of the best three teams in the NHL. Maybe four. You can quibble, you can argue the semantics. Then they attacked. Dallas, Coach Pete DeBoer is no dummy. They came after the Penguins at that point. And the Penguins' breakouts again were stymied. They were again suffocated. You would think at this point, Erik Karlsson, Chris Letang, P.O. Joseph even, would have the ability to grab the puck and go. Realizing the Dallas Stars have taken away the passing lanes, just go. But we saw none of that. We saw very disheveled, disorganized, hopeful breakouts rather than breakouts with intent, speed, or promise. I did a Q&A. Did I say the final score? Penguins lose 4-2. Does it matter at this point? Let's get to the Twitter Q&A that I promised. I actually got plenty more questions than I expected for a Friday night abysmal loss. Let's just hit them right in order. Melissa Hart. Melissa, hey, been a while. Gino was buzzing more than he's been in a long time tonight. Did I see that? Only saw the third period. Aha. He seemed energized. What do you make of that? Yes, Malkin had a good first period and a good back half of the third period. Like the rest of the team, he was AWOL in the second and part of the third. What do I make of it? I'm no Dr. Phil, all right? There's just something in the Penguins' collective psyche that prevents them from achieving success. I don't want to say they don't want it, but there's just something when push comes to shove that they shrink rather than attack. They retreat, they surrender, they don't give their best when the chips are on the table anymore. They'll come back, they'll fight back, but they won't seize the opportunities. And if somebody could figure it out, I'm sure Mike Sullivan would happily add them to the staff. Let's go to Eric. How many wins the rest of the way? I don't care. Truthfully, we'll be there at every game. We're going to cover this to the conclusion. I think we might bail on some of these games only because I don't think you care that much anymore. But that's a decision and a discussion that Dave and I will have. When you hit the fifth stage of grief, acceptance, and you do it this far out with double-digit games to go, it certainly is interesting, isn't it? I think they're also gassed. I mean, this March schedule was just 12 ways from ridiculous. What is it, 16 games in 30 days? Good Lord. That's like the Stanley Cup playoffs. The travel and everything. This has been a brutal stretch of a few weeks for the Penguins. I mean, just no breath, on planes, going here, there, time zones, west, home, central, home, east, home. And been in such a truncated fashion. For the life of me, I have no idea what the NHL was doing with the schedule. I don't. This is why division rivalries should take precedent. You shouldn't only play the Rangers 3 times, once at Madison Square Garden. But I digress. John, JC, been one of my original followers back when I had like 500 followers. I remember you, John. Thoughts on Erik Karlsson's first year as a Penguin? Well, that's kind of a broad, open-ended question. It has nothing to do with the Dallas Stars game, but okay, I'll bite. I'm not as disappointed as, say, Mark Madden has been. I'm not as hopeful as probably as Kyle Dubas has been. I see what Karlsson brings. I don't necessarily believe the Penguins were fully prepared to utilize everything Erik Karlsson brings to the table. I don't think he's comfortable enough to really get after it. Take that for what you will. I think he's doing his best to play within the Penguins system. And by the way, stop trying to tell me the Penguins have the wrong system. Or so many people this is just a side note, so many people who complain about the Penguins system wouldn't know it if I put it on the paper in front of you. That's one of those frustrating things. But obviously there is a certain hierarchy and philosophy within the system. And I don't know that Karlsson has ever busted out. He's been encouraged to, by the way. Don't seize on my last statement without hearing that statement. I don't think Karlsson has seized on it quite like he could have or like the coaches want him to. I still feel like he thinks it's his job to get the puck to the centerman. And it's just mushy. It's mediocre. which is, in a sense, disappointing for such a supremely talented player. Specific to Friday night, I thought Carlson could have changed the game. I thought this was the kind of game when you've got a team that's suffocating you, that's taking away the breakouts, that's when you grab the puck and go. You force them to abandon their structure to come to you. You dish the puck to the side and let them go. You know what I'm saying? Like, you charge up the middle of the ice, you force Dallas to converge on you, you chip the puck to the wall, and Drew O'Connor goes flying. Now you have numbers. Those sorts of things the Penguins didn't do. They were just on their heels for 30 to 40 minutes of the game. Let's see here. Frederick Hebert. Why aren't we seeing more rookies come up for the last 10 to 12 games? Well, Frederick, this isn't September in the Major League Baseball. That's why. You get 4 call-ups between the trade deadline and the end of the season. Who are you talking about bringing up? Basically, Sam Poulin is the only guy. I mean, you're hitting one of my pet peeves there, Frederick, and I'm not going to take it out on you. I think Penguins fans assume that it's like baseball. I don't think Penguins fans are in touch with how bereft of talent the Penguins organization is. Listen, they don't have them. They just don't have them to bring up and play. All right? I mean, that's the real answer. I tried to tell you about Alex Nylander. And look, Valtteri Puustinen wasn't ready until the last few weeks. And how many other guys have I tried to kind of explain? No. And everyone's like, bring them up, let's see. The Penguins, the organization, they see. And I think Poulin is the one that's a little bit curious to me. And I'm going to bore in a little bit here with specificity. Poulin's the one that's a little bit curious to me. I don't have high hopes for his NHL transition. I don't think he's fleet, agile enough to play in the NHL game. I've kind of come to that conclusion that he's a 4A player where he can be brought up in a pinch or here or there. I'm just not convinced. I mean, I could be proven wrong on this one. I mean, I saw a guy who defended well in Wilkes-Barre back in January, but I didn't see a guy who played in the offensive zone, and it is what it is. You want every first-round pick to be the next Wayne Gretzky. Most first-round picks, especially after number 20, do not even make an impact in the NHL. Statistical fact. Bob Chadford, honest question. Are we at a point in the season where 20 minutes is all the juice this team has? Mike Sullivan, relentless pressure-style hockey, and the oldest team in the league. Just saying. We often come out flying, then get worn down as the game grinds us down. I think you're in the right ballpark there, Bob. I think they are absolutely in the grind, fighting to keep their head above water in terms of energy. I think they're spent. They are gassed by this schedule stretch. Being mid-30s surely doesn't help. Losing, they compounding the matter. And the thought just occurs to me as I say this out loud. Compounding the tiredness is the losing. Your legs get heavier, not lighter. You don't have those feel-goods where you're energized to come to work the next day. I mean, look, they're human. They're just like you and me. When work sucks, your productivity slows, and it's just a vicious downward spiral, and that's where the Penguins are. Yes, I think you'll see this summer Kyle Dubas really effort to make the Penguins younger. He's said so. I think he might even have to lose a trade or two to truly accomplish that feat. That doesn't mean that fans won't criticize, because that's the national sport now. It's not baseball any longer, it's criticism. He might have to do that just to get some youth and some vitality into this team, because they certainly lack it, don't they? Peter, thoughts on Pustinen's development? Love it. I'm going to write a lot about this, and I hate to give away things because I found my least favorite competitor just swiped two of our headlines almost verbatim over a couple of days stretch. And it seems like every time I just toss out a little idea, it becomes a column somewhere else. I hate to do it, but you know what, Peter? You asked. Pustinen's development is fantastic. I don't know what really changed, but it clicked. It clicked this second time around this season. He's been an immediately better player for 200 feet. He's scrapping a little bit more. He's asserting himself. I mean, Friday night not included. That third line with Lars Eller, and Riley Smith has been one of the Penguins' best. They sucked on Friday, but they were pretty good leading up to Friday. There is a little problem with it. Mike Sullivan has alluded to it. I've noticed it. I was kind of glad Sullivan went there. Pustinen has a slow wrist shot delivery, like a release. He has a slow release. He kind of like builds it up and then lets it go. He's got to be a little quicker on that at the NHL level. He's got to get it and boom. He's got to have that muscle behind it without kind of that drag and video game sort of buildup. He's got to be a little quicker on that. I think he can score more goals. But because he's adapting well enough to the other facets of the game, he can work on that. I mean, that's not something that is necessarily set in stone or intrinsic to a singular player that can never be touched. I think they can work with him on that. Panther Pride says, call up Blomqvist. Why? You can also hurt a prospect. You can hurt a prospect's confidence. Why are you going to dump Blomqvist into this? What did he do to you? Y'all wear me out sometimes. Felix, thoughts on St. Ivany's debut? Well, I can guarantee he's not going to step up at center ice with nobody behind him anytime soon. That little mistake essentially cost the Penguins a goal, gave Dallas a 2-on-1, which, yes, John Ludwig converted by deflecting it into his own net. The second such goal, the Penguins deflected into their own net on Friday. Otherwise, I mean, look, I thought Sullivan used the right word. St. Ivany was solid. I thought maybe he regressed as the game went on. We'll see. We'll see where he goes, what he does with this opportunity. I would expect Ryan Graves to play on Sunday. Then again, maybe not, because it's an afternoon game. I don't know when Graves welcomed or will welcome the birth of his first child. I guess if the little one arrives on Saturday, no, I guess I wouldn't expect Graves to play Sunday. And St. Ivany will get another one, but boy, talk about dumped into the deep end of the pool, playing Dallas and then Colorado. It's not like he got a chance to face Columbus and San Jose, is it? You know, I guess every young player has that fork in the road when they come up. You're so pumped, you're full of adrenaline. You know, your first period or whatever, your first few games, or maybe a certain level. I think St. Ivany dialed it down, to be honest, and maybe if he gets a little more confidence, you'll see him begin to ramp it up. He is 24. He's not one of these, 18-year-old rookies. I think there's enough to be encouraged, but there's also enough to say, okay, he might be a 6'7" defenseman. He's going to get a chance to tell us more than I'll get a chance to tell you. I think that's all of them. Let me double check if there's any more. Show more replies. Okay. Nope, that's everybody and everything. As the Penguins settle into their new reality, we will shuffle off to Denver on Saturday. I will see you at the Tarantula Pool Hall. One of my favorite places on the road, no question about that. Maybe I used to hustle in the G tent on the Carnival Trail. Maybe. Hustle might be a steep word, but I used to play till 2 or 3 in the morning, and there was a time when Dan could bend the cue ball. I certainly can't anymore. Maybe with the new glasses, I'll be able to see again. All right, from Denver, I guess I'm in Dallas, aren't I? I'm getting to be like a rock star. Look at my hand. Hello, Dallas. Like, subscribe, do me a favor, throw some support behind this insanity, and I will talk to you soon. Have fun.